Hello and welcome to a new episode of Foodocracy for Her. So today I've got a very, very interesting guest to you, an old friend of mine from the world of food media, which is Nandita Iyer of Saffron Trails and a lot more. So Foodocracy for Her is where I speak to you about entrepreneurs in the food and beverage space and women entrepreneurs. So this is the first time when I'm speaking to someone who sort of belongs to, I don't know, our breed, clan, whatever community, which is a fellow writer, content creator. So thanks so much for joining in, Nandita, from sunny Bangalore, though you said it's cooler than it is in Mumbai. So pleasure having you
Thank
on.
thank you, Kalyan, and it's lovely to be on your talk. And it's good to even chat like this on video. We haven't met in
I
ages,
know,
so
I know, I
this
know.
feels fun, and I look forward to having this chat with you.
Yes, whenever she's in town, and often it's a pretty hectic schedule, but we try to catch up. And then whenever I'm in Bangalore, we've caught up. My visit to your house is still due, and to have your cooking, but that'll happen. But at
Yes.
least, in the spirit of Zoom and the pandemic, we're meeting. You'll be very happy to see what I'm drinking. Huh? So during these chats, I normally drink nimbu pani or sometimes an espresso. I'm having this, which is not ABC juice, which you and I, which I had when we met at La Fori long time back. This is the
Yes.
black carrot kanji.
Ah,
So I had it at Delhi first at Sadar Bazaar a couple of years back. This is by home chef Inderpreet Nagpal. She sent it. The carrots are from Amritsar, and
nice.
a bit later we'll be Nandita's order done one book already, and she's doing another book, and a lot of this sorts of fits in with her book, her line of thinking. We're going to talk all about that. So Nandita, I should actually call you Dr. Nandita here because you're a doctor.
That'd be too formal, but yeah.
So and then you went into advertising after that.
Yeah. So I started off, working in an intensive care unit
Oh,
after my graduation, and I just needed some time to decide what to do in terms of post graduation. And as luck would have it, there was like some political kind of backlash where I was working, and that entire hospital was like broken down, people beaten
oh my
up,
God.
and
Oh my God.
it was a bad scene. And
Oh,
cars got burnt outside the hospital, and we were locked in all night.
okay.
And it's almost like the police had to drop us back home in the morning. It was very traumatizing, very scarring, and just hanging on to, like, and those were the days of new mobile phones were very new at that point. So
Mm.
it was like hardly very little battery left, and couldn't even contact home. And it was very bad. And I just thought I couldn't go back to that scene after that. And this, even now when I read about doctors getting beaten up by politicians and relatives and stuff, it triggers off this panic attack in me,
I can imagine.
because it was a very
And
bad
I'm the son
time.
of a doctor, and
Yeah.
my from my grandmother's side, I mean, everyone was doctors. So it's horrific to hear this, and that was the start of a career. I mean, it must have been
Yeah,
so scary for
totally.
you.
Very scary, and it just kind of demoralized
Mm.
me from this career path. And I just, like, out of because there was an opportunity available, I joined health insurance for a while, a couple of years. But then, I've always been of a very creative spirit, and want to create something, which in the field of insurance, it's really a very dry, very mathematical. It is
Mm.
what it is. You can't really create anything out there.
Mm.
And which is when I heard or I read about healthcare advertising in a newspaper. And through some contacts, I ended up in O&M office in Bombay, and I met somebody. And they gave me an assignment to do, and they said, if you can do this assignment, then we'll consider you. It was as, like, I just wanted to be in that field. I walked into that office, I met
Wow.
somebody, got an assignment, worked on it, and then they were happy to give me the job. So I was in strategy planning.
Oh.
And so I was in between. like we used to deal with a lot of healthcare brands, pharma companies. So I would be like the person who understands the medical and the scientific part of it, and like the go between the creative team and the client. Because unlike regular FMCG products and
Hmm.
stuff, there's a lot of scientific matter in in pharmaceutical products, like say specialized cardiovascular, neurological medications, where
Hmm.
a person who, an artist or a creative person, may not necessarily understand the how this works, what studies to go into, details to read, etc. So in that case, they found me very useful as the go between. And after
Oh,
which
so
so
I have
that
to
was my job.
I have to interject. I must say, Nandita, that often I interview folks whom I've known for a while or who are friends, but every time I discover something new. So I've already discovered two things new. I mean, the hospital thing, and I knew about Ogilvy Bard, but not the strategic planning. So, I mean, my second job after market research was strategic planning in FCB Ulka, and not pharma though. And that's where I
Yeah,
met Kanaz, my wife, who's now with Ogilvy. She's in
right.
creative. But yes, and I think that I mean I joined in the late '90s, early 2000s. That's when companies started creating their specialized pharma outfits. So Ogilvy, McCann,
That was the
FCB,
time that I'm talking
yeah,
about. Yeah,
yeah, they all had their own. And this is Mumbai, Ogilvy, Mumbai.
yeah,
So you're a Mumbai girl originally.
yes. Out and out, out and out.
I don't know.
And in fact, after that stint is when I got married and went off to US for a year, and that's when I actually started cooking. Yesterday I had a talk on something called Ortho TV, which is founded by my one of my classmates who's an orthopedic surgeon. And we were discussing similar things. They wanted to know my journey from medical college to how did I land up here and doing what I do.
Yes.
And that I was telling them about how things went, and how actually in my late 20s is when I even learned how to I went to US, and all apartments there come with this inbuilt oven and stuff, and it took me 2 days to figure out how to even turn on the oven and see what's inside, what's the stuff. And
Yeah, that is hardly there in middle class India, ovens and
I
that
mean,
to inbuilt ovens.
yeah,
Yes.
we've never had enough, and plus their stuff is different. It's all inbuilt,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
works differently. So I saw some recipes on the show, but it took me 2 days to figure out how to turn the oven on. So I'm such a late starter in food. I pretty much grew up knowing only how to make tea, and I see people who say I've been cooking since I was 8 and 9 and all. I started cooking after I was 28. So until then, I was only making chai. I knew how to make Maggie. That's about it. When I was fed up of my grandmother's idlis, dosas, which I would kill to have today, I would say, please let me make Maggie one day and eat something for the tiffin time. I don't want idlis today. And so that's all that I knew in cooking. So that's in my late 20s is when my food journey even like took off. My own
I,
experiment with cooking started so late.
I think it's a growing up phase. And in fact, my mom, who often sort of connects with you and chats with you about, food. And I think she's entered some things like her Loki recipes when you've done
Yeah.
festivals on Loki on the website and stuff. So even she, like you, she probably started cooking in her late 20s after she got married and went to the UK with where my dad was based. And I was telling Tara about that. And I mean, probably she also grew up like you with a focus on education and work from the
Yeah.
parents without, so, and then,
Totally.
but, now that you think back, I'm sure that we've all gone through that phase where we preferred Maggie to idli dosa in your case, or maybe macher jhol bhat in my case. But now that you think back, I'm sure that there must have been a lot of subliminal influences of your growing up days in your own family in Mumbai, all of that, which is now probably flowering and shaping your food viewpoint or mindset. What do you think about that? Because the
Yeah,
sort of
surely.
food which I liked as a kid and what I do now is very different. So I think that all of that is now coming out.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
feel that too?
absolutely. I have even I write about this quite liberally in my columns, where
In the
a few
mint,
things like
in
I
the
would,
mint
yeah,
columns.
and even on my blog or in lounge, things like asafoetida, which is hing. I would
Yes.
hate it with a vengeance. And and my grandmother would not use the powdered hing. She would use the cake hing. So sometimes it would, and like pieces of it dissolved in water and put.
Mm.
But sometimes when they're putting that, some piece would also fall into the sambar. And as luck would have it, I would be the one to get it in my mouth, like, because I hate
Yes.
it so much. And I would just freak out. I said, my God, I can't continue eating now. I was not a picky eater, but certain things
Mm.
like this, I could just not tolerate. And I would just find it so bitter and so, it was just overwhelming in flavor, right? As a kid, you don't really like that.
Mm.
And second was gingerly oil, which is the sesame oil that Tamil folk
Yes.
use. And, our idlis and dosas would be liberally doused with that. And
And the
I would
podi.
hate that smell. It's again a very strong smell. And I would say, please give me refined oil. And now I will say, if I don't have gingerly oil, I'm not eating idli. Like, and hing, I have the special hing from Kanpur, and it's so strong. It's like the super strong hing. Like one granule will give you that flavor, and I will only use that hing because I feel like
You
now
you
I've
wrote
turned into
about
my
that.
grandmother. Yeah, I wrote about
You
that.
wrote about that recently. I mean, I can
Yeah, so
relate to
that,
that. As a kid,
yeah.
I didn't like
So those
mustard
two
oil.
things especially, you know, I've turned back and gone the other extreme.
No, I didn't like mustard oil as a kid. Also because we'd come in from the UK, so I mean,
Yeah.
I was introduced to my mustard oil when I was 8 or 9, and I couldn't take it. But now I add mustard oil as a topping, and I'm having kanji with
Yeah.
mustard seeds in it. It's all part of growing up.
Yeah.
And what about Bombay as a city, or Mumbai, as you call it today? Because it's such a eclectic city, or the term which Sar Deshpande use over here, polyglot. Do you think growing up in Mumbai, now that you've seen different cities, you've seen the US, Bangalore, Chennai, all of that, do you think that Mumbai has sort of molded you in a certain way, or left an impression in the way you look at food and
Yeah,
life?
definitely. I think, my family, although we are Tamil, uh, my my mother's grandfather, so my great grandfather moved to Bombay then, Matunga,
Mm.
in I think the 30s, 1930s or 1940s. I'm not so sure right now. But, so we've been there, my family has been there forever. And, I honestly didn't know any other place growing up because that was everything to me, the city. We didn't have too many relatives in other places. Of course, like few scattered here and there. Like we had a grand aunt in Kolkata, then someone in Mysore, and things like that. But Bombay was literally the be all and end all for me. And I hadn't traveled outside much as a kid. Um, and I would always tell myself, if there's any place I can live, it's only Bombay. I'm never leaving Bombay, and I can never live anywhere else. So, but then I went off for a year to the US, and it was a small city called Rochester in the state of New York. And
There's
even when we,
college also over there, right? Rochester.
yeah, the Rochester Institute of Technology
Yeah,
is fairly
because I
famous.
had a
It's
school
famous
friend
for
who went there.
Xerox and Kodak and these other famous
Yeah.
companies there. So we would go to the pub, and most of the times we would be the only couple in the whole pub. There was no one else. So, the bartender was more than happy to keep on pouring our drink. Like, even if you order a large, she'll give you like a triple large drink because there's nobody else to serve. And I would say, I mean, while I appreciate that gesture, this is just so lonely. There's nobody to even look at, and the streets are so deserted. And when I land in the airport, there's no one. So I definitely missed the crowds and that buzz. And you're never alone in a city like Bombay. You can never be alone, even if you want to, right? Because it's got that buzz surrounds you all the time. And I really missed that very badly when I was in the US. And in a year, we went back to Bombay for 4 years. So I had that urge to come back to my city. So though my husband is from Chennai, so but then
Oh,
that was the first time he was living in Bombay for such a long time, for 4 years in
he's
Bombay.
grown up in Chennai.
Yeah.
Husband.
So,
So,
it was nice coming back to my home city and 4 years. And then I moved to Hyderabad, which was like a complete shock because the
oh,
pace, the things, everything is so different. And after a couple of years, I moved to Bangalore, which is, I think, my final destination. I don't know, but at present, I feel it is. So, the how the pace changes. Like from Bombay, I went to Hyderabad, so that was a good buffer. And then I could get used to the pace of Bangalore. And now I come back to Bombay, I feel I can't handle this buzz and the crowd and the
And the
pace. And
travel, and the travel.
I make it a point to take the local train or the local transport when I'm there, because
Hmm.
I want to feel at home. And but then off late it's just been Uber and stuff. I mean, off late as in the pre-pandemic, I'm talking, of course.
Yeah,
After that,
but you do travel a lot within the city because
I do. I
family,
have
then
to
there are
meet
shoots,
everybody.
client
Shoot, yeah,
meets, and
yeah.
and,
I,
and often
I,
there's a
I
lot of pressure if you come just for a day and people want to catch up.
yeah. No, I do want to meet up friends, check out the new places to eat, and
Hmm.
can't miss all that. So I end up traveling a lot. So yeah, so that's my relationship with Bombay, and I go now. It is a bit overwhelming. It feels a bit too much because after all, in Bangalore, I have my own cocoon. It's a slow life and it's a very quiet life, and Bombay does feel like a stark contrast compared to this. But of course, it's home, and I always like, you just throw me out there in the open and I can roam free. Here, like, even to cross the road, I'll think twice. I don't generally loaf around the streets of Bangalore, but Bombay, I feel comfortable doing that. I've been doing that since I was young, and I just feel comfort. I don't think that I can do in any city, just loafing around.
Yes, loaf, of course, reminds me now of Baby Loaf, my first cat.
Of course, of course.
But I was thinking of the times in Mumbai where we've gone out and to different sort of places, where from Vinay Health Home in Girgaon for the
Yeah,
Maharashtrian vegetarian food,
lovely.
in Bandra to the Taj Tea House, La
The
Foyle, the
Taj,
different things,
yes.
the tea
I
house sort
just
of
love
thing,
the Taj place.
and
The
you always
Taj
end
Mahal
up
tea
in
house.
and you always end up in blue.
Even today.
Yeah, I thought maybe today was
It will
slightly
change,
coordinated.
but yeah.
We were talking about Mumbai, and the one thing which I've seen about Mumbai, having lived in different cities and countries, is that Mumbai is a city which really fosters creativity and creative juices. And Nandita was telling us earlier about how that's something which eggs are on. And she did take a very, very different turn by starting to write a food blog. And in case you're thinking by food blog, I mean an Instagram account. No, not that. Of course, she is very popular on Instagram, but she has a proper food blog and a website something. In fact, her blog is even older than mine. Which year did you start it, Saffron Films?
Um,
Forgotten.
which year did you start, tell me?
I started in 2007. I,
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 I think
I
mine
think
was 2006, if I'm not,
yeah, because I
March
think
2000.
yours is a couple of years or a year or year and a half
Yeah,
older than mine. So,
yeah.
what was the story behind that? I'm sure you've been asked that many times, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I've talked about it quite a bit. But yeah, so I think, like I said, I started cooking very late in my life. And I didn't really have recipes, or I have never learned from my grandmother or my mother in the kitchen, because I was never in the kitchen.
Hmm,
It's always like, go study, go practice your music, go read a book. And
hmm,
their stuff cooking was so exacting that anyway I would not have matched up to that kind of
yes.
cooking, because that's not my style. And so when I actually started, I figured, like, I was always into art, writing, poetry, music, everything. So I just felt like, even cooking, I felt that way. Like, I just put together things as they come and keep tasting, keep changing routes. Like, sometimes I'm doing something else, and by the end it turns into something else, right? So
Hmm.
sometimes some dish would turn out really good, and I would never know, like, if my husband said, can you make that again? I said, like, I don't even know how I made it.
Oh
So
God.
it became
I,
very essential to note down what I'm actually putting in the dish. So my initial recipes on my blog are all like crazy stuff, like ripe mango with karela curry, then potato with raw mangoes, like all weird combinations, because it was only a diary for myself, so that I
huh.
can repeat my own dishes if it turned out really good. And I was very tech savvy early on, and I've also done a few courses in coding and website and stuff. Don't ask me what it is, before I would remember anything now. But those days I had the knack of getting my stuff done, like on the blog, etc. So I thought it's like I also used to like yeah, I had thought that if I start a book or a diary kind of thing, I'll lose it here and there, like, I'll
Yes.
get lost.
Yes.
But if I put it online, it's easy to search for me and I can share it like friends want some recipes, just easy to send them a link. So that was my whole idea about starting a blog. It was just like a digital diary for myself and for anybody who wanted to know.
Yes.
And that's when I came to know that there are like full-fledged, this is a food blogging is already a thing and I'm not
Yes.
doing anything new. And that's when I even came to know that such things exist already. Because
But
earlier I
it's
said
still
I'm like doing
fairly
something
new in it was still fairly new in India. There were
very new.
Indians doing
It
it
was,
from abroad,
yeah,
expat Indians,
yeah,
but not in
that's
India
right.
that much.
So even they were like keeping a record of the traditional recipes and stuff.
Hmm.
Because unlike, I think also, when I was in the US, the ISD calls were fairly expensive. It was not like you have WhatsApp, that you could just call your mom
Yes.
or your aunt at any
Yes.
time of the day and speak endlessly. So
Yes.
once you got the recipe, you had to put it down somewhere
Hmm.
so
Yes.
that you're not calling again for the same thing, right? So there was just
Hmm.
the economics of making ISD calls, and I thought there was an easier way to just write it down in a safe place where you can find it. So yeah, you're right. So all the expat, like Indians, NRIs, Indians living abroad would write all their traditional recipes, and it still is a great resource for us
Yeah.
to refer to.
And I think that there's also maybe a bit of the account planning experience which led to this, because when you're, at least from my personal experience, when you're account planning, then you're neither running the business like client servicing or account management does, nor are you doing the creative like creative and the
Right.
copywriters. So you
Absolutely.
want, and you believe that you can do a lot. So finally you open up a blog and do it, or at least that's what I did. So of course
Yeah.
I was back in market research by then.
Yeah.
When did, and since the talk is more about entrepreneurship, so when did you sort of decide to move this a bit into like a career or a sort of professional format? If your blog started in 2006, how many
Yeah.
years did it take for you to think of that?
I think at least 6 to 7 years, there was nothing called monetization or
Yes.
something. I randomly put in Google Ads and I got some $100 check, which I was shocked. I said, "Who sent me this?" But I didn't even expect that. So, you know, uh, 6, 7 years, I think that's when brands started waking up to the potential of this
Hmm.
digital media, marketing and doing these kind of brand collaborations and stuff. Uh, I think 2010 is when I actually joined Twitter and Instagram and Facebook much earlier. So that, and those were also just like Instagram was just to document some daily moments, and Facebook was mainly to share your blog links to a broader audience,
Yes.
which it would reach in those
Hmm.
days, unlike today.
Yes.
And Twitter was just like for networking, because I was in a new city, Hyderabad at that time, and I wanted to find out like-minded people nearby to network with, connect with. And so so the blog and the social media, and then slowly these social media platforms gained momentum, and and the marketing, like the brand started harnessing those platforms more than the blog for their
Yeah.
marketing purposes, and slowly that kind of also became like an income potential.
Yes, and I
So
find it interesting when I was listening to you, because now when I see folks coming into blogging, first of all, when they say blog, in most cases they mean Instagram, and well, fair enough. I mean, if that's how it is, that's how it is.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
a blog technically is an online place to record your life,
yeah,
which Instagram is.
yeah.
But also, a lot of most people who come in now,
Just to
they
interrupt you. So in Blogger, we used to write a ton and upload a photo. So now people just upload the photo is the main thing and the writing is secondary.
but
So
now
it's just
but now
become the
people are
reverse.
also people are writing a lot. So people like me, when I started using Instagram, I would write a bit more than the others because I'm not much of
Yeah.
a photographer. But
Mm.
but now I see people writing 5 6 paragraphs things, and which I at my age at least I can't read on the go.
Can't read.
So
Yeah,
I don't
same
even
here.
try.
Yeah.
But people come in now straight away with a focus that they want to build a career out of
Yeah.
blogging and all that. While someone like you, you've taken 6 7 years before. I mean, it's also a function of the
That
environment.
was all of us at that time. We were all
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
same group. Yeah.
You have also built a very strong, enduring, sustainable brand, so to speak. I mean, we talk about building brands for others, but you've also built a brand for yourself, and it's been 13, 14 years now, so it's not a small thing. So, and since you've worked in an advertising agency and you know what goes into building a brand, what do you think
Yeah.
works, maybe from your personal experience? What helps in creating a brand for a content creator? You know, whether it's blogger, Instagrammer, this thing in the food space. What do you
Yeah.
think are the, from your experience and what you've seen
Okay.
others as well? What works?
I think, in my opinion, it's consistent messaging. I can't say, for example, my focus is healthy vegetarian food. You know, I'm not saying that restrict yourself only to that niche across
Hmm.
platforms, because that's just boring. And even though my niche is that, I in my whole life, it's not like I don't eat ice cream or I don't eat
Exactly. Yeah.
chaat. I do other things as well. But I think at least, say, 75% of the time, my focused messaging should be around this topic. Because
Hmm.
I can't say I'm also a pastry chef, I'm also a I'm also a restaurant reviewer, I'm also a healthy vegetarian. I can't be all over the place, because then people will not find that one hook to associate you with. you know
Hmm.
so see, simple thing like, I learned Hindustani classical music, and when reels came out on Instagram, I always paired it with an evening raga or something that matched that thing, because I listen to so much of that kind of music. And now
You sing
people,
yourself.
yeah,
You
I
sing
sing.
yourself and put it up.
But also people now say, we watch your reels only to know, to find that song more than for the food.
Yes.
So it's not like one day I'm putting some pop music, some other day I'm putting Bollywood music. So I think some consistency, and I'm not saying I do use that, but most of the times I try to find a match from the music I like, which is this music. So I think it's just an example where a consistent messaging always helps. It also helps in brands to work with you, because they know what you stand for.
Yes.
So like say an Amitabh Bachchan or a Shah Rukh Khan, each one stands for certain things. Like some have this youthful appeal, some are solid and
Hmm.
consistent and been there forever. So like that. I mean, I'm giving Bollywood because it's the most obvious example
Yeah.
which everyone can relate to. But
Hmm.
I think as a blogger or a person in this digital media content creator, we need to stand for something, and at least most of the times, and the rest of the time you can just put out your life as it is, and not like, I'm not saying edit it and filter it so much that you are always creating something like this. No. I also like eat fried food, and I eat fast food. I like sometimes my son is eating some junk, I even eat it with him. I mean,
Waffles.
it's not like, yeah, it's not always like I'm eating what is there in my cookbook. No, I mean, I would be lying if I said that.
I understand.
But most
I
of the
understand.
time, stay true. Cheers. So most of the
Yes.
times we need to stay true to our brand.
Hmm.
Like, I know when I think of you, I think of your now, I think of your cats, I think of your that little writing corner, I think of your morning breakfasts. So you are doing a commendable job of that consistent thing, because even your finely chopped breakfasts, I mean, to that extent, anybody else having breakfast also is tagging themselves as finely chopped breakfast. And your Nespresso coffee, and the egg, fried egg, like two for you and one for Kainas, or
Can
whatever
I?
that
Yes.
you guys split it up. I mean,
Who's in the
so,
writing corner? Because we are both doing Zooms. So I'm in one
yeah,
room, she's in the other.
it's so consistent that, you know, that's how it should be. Like, if you think of Nandita or Saffron Trail, there should be three, four things that come to your mind. And it should not be that she's everywhere and she's everything. I don't want to be known for everything. So I think, um, when it comes to brand building, I would put that as the top thing to do. As consistent messaging, stick. Be honest. I'm not saying adopt a message which is nothing connected to you. It has to be obviously related to your life. You should be able to relate to that. It should be something that you actually do on a day-to-day basis. But just stick to that. People should identify that with you. Like I see any white cat, I remember you now. It's become that.
Yes, and of course now you have a new addition, a girl dog who I think wrestles you and your son down. The
Yeah.
dogs go pretty fast. No, and I must say, Nandita, having known you for so many years, first to social media and then personally as well, that I think when you also said honest, I would say that being true to yourself. So I mean, the two things which you said, one is consistency, and two is you are who you are. So therefore, I mean, Nandita Iyer is not just about say healthy vegetarian food, or she's not just about salads or just about Tamil traditional. So as a person, like all of us, of 80s kids, 90s kids, or whatever,
Have different
we have different
facets.
facets, and that comes through. And I remember when Kana's my wife got more into Twitter, and you were one of the first people she started following because she knows of you through me. And then she said that what struck her about your Twitter account is that it's not just all about food. So it's a person. So she's not a food person. So I mean that way the connection is a lot more. And also, like I said, I mean these certain things. I mean healthy, vegetarian, good food. Sort of thing. It's something which, and then and different stages. I guess it evolves in different ways. I mean, there's certain things which interest you. Like, for example, I think I've always been about I don't know, earthy eating in a sense. So at one point it was going to street food joints and stuff like that. I think the last year 2020 has really been about appreciating home food and things. So it's the same stuff. Now you took two different tracks as a content creator, writer, YouTuber. Yeah, I mean she's done like lovely video series as well, and there are two sorts of experiences which you've had. So one is where you've created content through your own channels like the blog, Instagram, find each other, sorry, Facebook, Twitter, and then you've worked with brands who are your clients, and there are certain cases where you've worked with people, like for example, when you've done columns, when written the book with a publisher, you've done YouTube with Food Network and India Food Network, and so on. So, what do you think are the pros and cons of each route? Because there's some people who like to create and be in charge of everything. There's some who want to be a part of, an ecosystem. You don't have to be either or, and that is what you have shown. Even I try to sort of be both. But anything like which you feel are like, maybe let's take working with someone else first, like when I was working with publishers and so on. What do you think are the pros and cons? So your general experience, not specific person,
Okay.
but the pros and cons of trying to get having a byline somewhere, if you get what I mean.
Okay. Okay. You mean writing on your blog versus writing
No,
with
yeah.
someone?
So
Are you
so
talking
right
about it?
now, like when you're working with someone else. So for example, say the columns which you've done with Mint and even NDTV and India Food Network and all that, or your book.
Sure. I think the biggest thing when doing stuff for someone is knowing to stick to the deadline. Because when it comes to our blog, because we don't run our blog like factories, and we fairly laid back. I mean, our blog is not like, it would be good if we had like a good schedule for the blog, like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm
Hmm.
going to put out a post. But uh, those days are gone and we're all busy and it's not happening anymore. But no matter what, like if you're writing a column, if you're writing for someone else, if you're writing a book, I think come what may, you have to stick to the deadline. Even if you're like a dead dog unwell in bed, you have to type out your stuff, you have to edit your stuff from bed, even if you're unwell. Although, like I'm lucky, my editors, like even today, she told me don't, for my column, she said it's your holiday. Don't, I mean, usually a Wednesday is the time I submit it for next Saturday. But, she said, take it easy. You can send
That's
it
sweet of
later.
her.
I get that. I
That's
got
sweet of
that. And I was very happy because I also had this thing with you today. And definitely a lot of editors are considerate, and even in the publishing world, because of the pandemic, people realize that one, physically we are so occupied initially because of the lockdown, no help, everything, everybody at home, we have to do so much work inside the house. It's not possible to work at the full potential that we were working earlier. So a lot of my even my book editors were very kind, and like, and also the impact on mental health, where they understand
Yes.
that you're just too wound up to writing is a creative process. You can't just like start typing and it just can't come out like that. You need to be in the right frame
Mm,
of mind. So people have been kind, but as far as possible, we have to stick to the deadlines, and not give excuses, which for your own blog you can always say, okay, even if I had put down in my diary that I want to write a post today, I can push it to 2 days later. And of course I am the loser in the long run, because then I'm not putting regular posts on my blog, my traffic is going down, etc. But one is a sense of responsibility, definitely, when you're doing something for others, more responsibility, because somebody else depends on you. So I think that is the biggest thing. And also, it's the positive. The other positive thing is you get to work with somebody. You put,
yes.
two and two brains together. Because in your blog, you are like, unless you are a team run
Mm,
blog, if you're like a solo blog like you and me, we don't
mm,
have anybody to brainstorm, think of what topics to write. Whereas when you're writing for someone, you have that second brain to, come up with fresh ideas and stuff. Like in right in the beginning of the year, I sent, because I have a fortnightly column, I sent
okay.
like like whatever, 25 ideas already sent for the next year. Like,
Wow.
let me know
Yeah.
the topics at least. So I remember even you telling me once that you keep your topics ready when you were writing
Yeah,
your
with
column.
with the Times of India, I have to do that. So at the beginning
Yeah,
of every quarter, like give
yeah.
all the topics for the
Yeah.
week. So
So then, you get some feedback. They say, no, no, this is done a lot. And, so that, but for your blog, you have nobody. You have to ask yourself, is this worth writing about? Is somebody going to read it? What's the, if I'm actually doing a Google analysis, I'll see how many searches are happening per month for this particular topic. And it's all you. There's nobody else. So I think these two are the major differences in working for yourself versus working with another publisher or a editor, etc.
I can completely identify with that, and I think there's a flight going. So uh, what I know for sure, and probably our readers would also, is that you are more regular than I am. So imagine if someone like you, but that's the truth, that when you're working with someone else, the process becomes better. And also, over the years, when you're working with different people, I think we also pick up different things again subliminally, like how to look for topics, how to sort of, word our way in a which way it becomes more appealing to readers. But do you feel that to sort of succeed professionally in as a content creator, food writer, you also need to create your own identities. Of course, we started as bloggers, but I've seen there are some people who are very keen on bylines, and which is very important. But they almost seem to sort of run down people who are creating their own content. But I just feel that if you have to create your own stamp, your own identity, that has a lot of importance as well. So what are your feel take on that? Because you've done both, and I think it's fine to do both. Even I try to do
Yeah.
both.
So, see, as a blogger, it's all about our personal identity, right? We are writing about ourselves, the food we cook in our
Hmm.
kitchens, and
Hmm.
or even if it's you're eating somewhere, it's your experience.
Yes.
How did you go there? What did you eat? How did you enjoy that? Will you go back? It's all about us. So it's my blog, it's my space. I'm going to write about me. Like, a lot of people have problems with that, and forever cribbing on social media. Why do bloggers write about their dogs and they took them for a walk and what their grandma did and from where they migrated and stuff? I mean, too bad. That's my space. It's like coming to my house and telling me how not to decorate my house. It's my
Yes.
house.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Lovely analogy.
yeah. So, if you don't like it, you're not invited. Simple. So, I feel that. the identity part is very strong. It's my voice. So I think that is one thing which kind of gets subdued when you're writing for someone else, because you have to stick
Hmm.
to their style. Like if I write for a certain magazine, they'll first tell me read the magazine and understand our style, because they don't want every unless it's a personal column, they don't
Yeah.
want every article to sound like it came from a different planet. They want some
Hmm.
kind of consistency across the magazine, which is fine, which is how it works. So I think when you constantly write only for others, it takes a lot of trouble to put out your own personal voice and
Hmm.
your style, what you would say, your quirks. Those have no space when when you write for someone else, and which is why I think uh, for the longest time when I wrote for others, it was always an article. It was never a column. So
Yes.
actually, when I sent in my first submission for Mint Lounge, my first column, it was about potatoes. There was so much gyan in that. My editor sent back the whole thing and said, I want to know what you did. I don't want to know what
Yes.
someone can find out on the internet. That's why
Hmm.
it's a column. It's not an article. So,
Yes.
I had to reframe my whole thinking and how I write, how I project. And I said, why would I write about I, me, myself? That's the very point of a column. You have to write I, me, myself.
Yes.
I
Yes.
ate this, I did that. It's you. People want to know what you did. That's why you have a column. There's a big difference between submitting an article and a column. So I think then I had to really think, okay, how would I write on my blog? It's my personal voice. I would feel free to say what I felt like, and that's what I should do in the column. So there's a huge difference, and which is why you can't write one like the other. That won't, like an article. I can't write that I did this, I like this, I like it. Nobody wants to know. An article is for like knowledge, but column is for fun. You know.
What I feel, I mean, I don't know whether fun, joy, satisfaction, fun sometimes might make it sound trivial, but I know what you mean. I mean, fun, the fun of writing, the joy of writing.
Yeah.
But when I look at the columns of yore, and some of them are writing now as well in the food space and in India, like the late Beram Contractor or V
Mm.
Sangvi, even today and stuff like that. It almost feels as if they they write it as if they're writing a blog. And what I've realized through the columns which are written with folks is that when they want you as a columnist, they want that voice.
Yeah.
They don't
Exactly.
want a Wikipedia of potatoes.
No
That's
voice, no column. That's
yeah.
it.
They want
Yeah,
like Nandita is sort of, what does Nandita like when she cooks potatoes or when she eats potatoes, or what are
exactly.
her failures while cooking
Yeah,
potatoes, if ever, and stuff. And do you think that, and again, when it comes to brands and working with brands, and you've done that a
yeah,
lot over the years, and you've been very selective. So again, lot is also not fair to say, but you've
yeah,
chosen really like brands whom you connect with, and
yeah.
and you've done work with them. How do you, what do you feel, or how do you think that a brand can make the most use out of a content creator? Like by giving them a brief, or by letting Nandita be what she is, or sort of a midway? Leading question, perhaps, but
Yeah. No, definitely giving a brief, because after all, when a brand is paying you to further their reach and to help them with the marketing, they need to tell us what they want, what their goal is. Like, what do they want out of this, right? Do they want more people to know your brand? Do they want people to buy certain things during like a seasonal sale or whatever it is? So definitely a brief, but also not give us the whole thing in writing saying post this, because then you're just losing out my entire audience, because my audience who have been reading me for the last 15 years, they know my voice, and they
yes,
know when somebody else has written the stuff for me.
yes.
And when I read it myself, I cringe, because I feel this doesn't sound like what I would write at all. So as far as possible, I write, I mean, I do write as
Would
far
you
as possible.
would
I
you
do
put your
insist.
foot down? Would you
Yeah,
put
yeah.
your foot down? Yeah,
I
because
do insist that
yeah,
whether it's a sponsored tweet or an Instagram or a blog, I'm never going to carry PR content. I will. You tell me what needs to be said. I'll
yeah.
say it in my way. And
Because if nothing else, there are certain words which are intrinsic
yeah,
to your way of writing.
No, exactly. Like there was once this toothpaste based,
Yeah.
campaign, and they gave me the content which said like, "Hey, I'm so excited about this new flavor," and like 10 exclamation marks. I said, "Look, I wasn't this excited when I had my firstborn. So why do you think? Why do you think I'm going to be so excited about a new toothpaste flavor? That's just not me. So for God's sake, don't make me write all this because I can't. I can't permit myself to write like this."
Yes.
It was hilarious. Like, of course, they had a hearty laugh when I said I was not like I would not put so many exclamations for my firstborn. And why would I do this for a toothpaste? I wouldn't even do it for my books. So, just let us write in our style. I mean, no harm. There are people, who are always excited and they are this very bubbly personality, and it may suit their voice. It does not suit my voice.
Exactly.
I like to think I'm a very balanced person. I don't get like hyper excited about anything
True.
for that
True.
matter. So then it just doesn't suit us. So it's not going to help your brand also, because my audience is going to tune out when they see 10 exclamation marks from me. So
But I think the brand's also changing, right? I mean, I've seen that, like,
slowly. This was a few years
one is,
ago.
yeah,
Largely, they let me do my thing
yeah. I
mostly.
think brands also changing, and they're sort of appreciating what one can bring to the table, and then it's
Yeah.
more enjoyable. Then you also want to do more stuff for brands like that, like, or put in more effort.
No,
I think,
absolutely. If someone is paying me, I want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth. If they want to reach a certain audience, that they reach a certain audience. So I would recommend everything. Like sometimes when people say do these 5 posts in a day, I'll tell them I don't want that extra money. I'll just do two, because five is an overkill and nobody's going to like read it also. So
hmm,
I would rather recommend something that's good for them than just go with five means I'm earning double the money, but it's not like it's going to help the brand so much. So I would just tell them that that's not, or space it out, do it next month. Don't like make everything at one time. So little things, because we know our audience so intimately over the years, and we
yes,
know what works and what is reasonable, what's an overkill. Although I said it's my space, I'll do whatever I want, but I'm not going to do that at the risk of sounding irritating to my audience. After all, they are my
true,
readers. They are who I
yes.
write for.
And talking of readers, and you mentioned book as well. So Nandita's done one book already, and given it's such a bestseller, even now, chances are you have it, which is the Everyday Healthy Vegetarian. And then she's coming with a new book. I think pre-orders have started,
Yeah.
and then it gets into market on in March 21,
On
hopefully,
March
like it
1st.
March
March
1st, 1st March. So that's
Yeah.
great way to start the financial year, so to speak. But tell me a bit about, like, when you are writing the books, both Everyday Healthy Vegetarian as well as the next one, which I'm going to let you talk about rather than me.
Yeah.
Um, what is it that you're trying to do through your books? Because you write your blog, your column, Instagram, video, everything has its own role. To me, a book is a bit of a legacy also. So
Yeah.
what are you trying to sort of tell, or do
Uh,
through your books? And tell us about the book, the new book.
sure. Okay. So see, the first book is pretty much a cookbook. It's got like 100 plus recipes, but it's also got a lot of initial pages are full of
Hmm.
information on how to
Yes.
everybody thinks like healthy cooking is something very tough,
Hmm.
and you need fancy
Yeah.
ingredients, lot
The
of
beginning
time.
is all of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So the beginning chapters are full of things like how to stock up your kitchen, what
Hmm.
appliances to use, uh,
Hmm.
how to stock up your
My God,
pantry.
you live up 100 years, because I opened this page. It says stocking up for healthy cooking.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's simple things like recipe guidelines and a lot of general tips. And then there are the recipes. So I think, it's one thing to search a blog for recipes, and people who've been following me for my recipes for like over a decade, for them, it's nice to have everything in one place. And a lot of the people who bought my book have literally tried every recipe in the book, because it's not like when we buy certain cookbooks, some recipes have so many like difficult ingredients, and
yes.
it's not possible to keep buying new ingredients for every recipe. It's not practical, and it's a waste of money. So in my book, the ingredients are so common, and it's got a fabulous index. So like you'll see, if there's one ingredient, at least there are some 5-10 recipes, and you
Hmm.
can easily if you bought that
Yeah.
ingredient once, I want them to use it a few times and not just buy one ingredient for one
Yeah.
recipe. I'm talking about like the dry provisions, not the fresh. Of course, you
Like
buy it and
hing,
use
for
it.
example, if it's a
Yeah.
non-hing using
So,
family.
so that's one reason why it's there. And you know, let's see, after all, it's also a kind of a validation for a blogger that a publisher would like to
Yes,
publish your book, because
I agree.
publishers don't just unless they see that that potential and that book will sell, they and that you're good and you're consistent, they're not going to give you a contract in the first place.
True.
So having a publisher approach you on their own and saying, hey, will you like to write with us, is a matter of great honor. And
I think so. Yes.
I'm very grateful for that opportunity. uh, so it was like this happened in 2015, I think, and I told myself that these 6 months I'll devote myself to drawing out the proposal and sending it out to the publishers I can reach out to. And within a month, before I could even do anything, I got the mail from the other side. So I'm a big believer in things just happening, when
Mystic.
it's right for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So all that put together, the book just came together, and it, of course, it's something I wanted deeply. And it happened that I got approached, and I didn't have to really ask too many people about
Hmm.
sending proposals and waiting on it. And I'm
Lovely.
grateful to Hachette for actually this thing happening. And I think it's also that the audience has seen a lot of value from us. Like for 15 years, we've given free content, free recipes, answering their queries for free in the comments. So they're happy to buy a book and support your thing. It's not like we
I
started a
think they
fake
feel
blog.
you feel connected also. Like you feel connected with
Yeah.
Nandita, Rushina, Sai when when you get the book. Tell me a bit about the new book coming out. What can we
The new
expect there?
book, the new book is called Everyday Superfoods, and no, it was not inspired by the pandemic. In fact, I had submitted my manuscript well before the lockdown happened.
Is the
Actually,
kanji there by any chance?
the kanji beetroot is there, I think,
Beetroot is there. Okay, chalo,
or
probiotics
carrots.
are there.
Carrots are there. Carrots are
Carrots
there.
are there. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So the Everyday Superfoods is not like 100% cookbook like this book.
Hmm.
It's more like a paperback. It's got 75% is information,
Wow.
knowledge on how our present day lifestyle is, and the basic premise is just by eating a turmeric or an amla, which is definitely a superfood, I'm not going to change my life overnight.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So there are a lot of baby steps, starting from actually introspecting on what we are eating currently, how we are eating. We need to think of, we're in the fast lane. We just live life. We don't think about what we are doing. So just that mindfulness and drawing your attention back to your habits to know what we are doing. So examining our present day relationship with food. Then next step is how to make it better. Then the next step is how to make your diet a little bit better, then add your superfoods to your diet, and how to have it every day in different creative ways. I've given a list of 39 superfoods which I've selected that is easily available, it's local, it's desi, and there are multiple ways to use them. So on that basis, I've selected those 39 superfoods. And each one has a little bit of history, little bit of how to eat this, and scientifically proven health benefits, where actual research has proven that this thing prevents diabetes, or this one helps in blood sugar management and things like that. And like this, after going through all the 39 ingredients, I talk about sustainability, which is also very important. I can't just
Yes.
pump my body with superfoods while letting the
Hmm.
planet go to hell. So
Hmm.
we need to be more mindful about we want to eat healthy, we want to be healthy, but we should also take care of the environment, and the planet at large. So being mindful, I mean, things like, if everybody starts growing turmeric because turmeric is the next big thing, it's going to be very
Yes.
bad for the land, for the farm, for the farmers, etc. We need to which is why we need to look at what is seasonal, what is local, how to these little things which are quite complicated, but I've tried to put my head around it in my own way. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but at least put a thought into the reader's head, to think about, okay, I'm eating quinoa, fine. Where has it come from? Has it been grown in India? A lot of quinoa is grown in India currently.
Yes.
So is it better than rice? Because rice uses way too much water to grow, and quinoa uses less water to grow. So these kind of things, in a way, so that's the whole chapter about sustainability. And then I've given 60 recipes, out of which nearly one fourth is all about meal prep. Because,
Hmm.
eating healthy, uh, people ask me, how is it sustainable to cook every day and to make sure you're cooking healthy? So for that, if you expect that all three meals have to be cooked fresh and put in front of
Yes.
you, it's not sustainable unless that's your full-time job. You can't do that
Oh,
yourself. So in that way, how to prep, how to keep certain things in your fridge, like you shell a pomegranate, you cook your chickpeas. If you're cooking brown rice, cook extra because it takes a
hmm.
long time to cook. So
Yes.
why will you cook only this much portion?
Yes. Yes.
Make extra. When you're cooking beans, make extra. So when you want to make a salad, everything, you open your fridge, 5 ingredients are there, just put it in, you have a good salad. So little things like that. So the initial 15 recipes are all about meal prep. So even if you stock up on 3 4 of those, you are really sorted in terms of adding these superfoods, because that's how you can eat them every day. If I say eat some complicated thing made out of something, how am I going to make it every day and eat? I Even though I spend so much time in the kitchen, even I don't have the bandwidth to do that. So expecting people who have a full-time job to actually take care of their health by spending so much time in the kitchen, it's not feasible. So it's just getting very practical, and you know uh, and then there are these other recipes for beverages and some, yeah, vegetables and different categories. Again, my recipes are all like, I also give variations. If not this, use this, so you get a like whole new recipe at the end of it. So that's how the flow of the book is. So I'm quite happy that it's not like an out and out cookbook. I have actually put in a lot of thought to tell people what I think about. And I also understand the superfood buzzword is like so done to death. Every thing you see, go to a supermarket. If you do go these days, you'll find like this superfood, that superfood, and water purifiers say the water coming out of our purifier is a superfood. Like, I'm really done with this. But I'm tried my best to select things which are actually more nutrition per gram of food is what is a superfood. Like, it's very nutrient dense per calorie, so it's not like I'm consuming 1,000 calories and I'm getting tiny bit of nutrients. I'm
Hmm.
consuming 100 calories, but it's full of nutrients. So it's just that such nutrient dense food, and including that is just having multiple health benefits. And why not eat that? If it's easy to eat it every day, why not eat that every day and you know help your body be in the best possible shape, be it. So there's also a chapter on specific superfoods, which is, I talk about the foods for diabetes, for good skin and hair, for people who anti-cancer superfoods, for children, what are the good superfoods to include, because everyone's requirements are different, and accordingly the kind of foods to eat, it I'm not saying it's going to cure cancer, cure diabetes, or like make your child like a super he-man or like a she-woman. Nothing super about it, but the best effort that we can do, instead of eating this, why not eat that, if it can do better for you. So that's the whole gist of the book. It's out on March 1st, and it's out on pre-order right now. And it's also, I'm very happy to note that it's on a few bestseller lists already, even though it's just on
Wow.
pre-order.
Wow.
uh, so uh, and I promise you, it's not timed for the pandemic or anything. It just got delayed and it's out now. It's also an all-time book. I'm not saying that this is only to improve your immunity during COVID and nothing. I don't want to make it sound so frivolous. It's something that we need to have in our diet all the time. So if you're eating 3 meals, why not eat well? So that's my whole premise.
Well, you put in a lot of riders into it, Nandita, but I don't think you should. I must say that my appetite has been completely whetted. As a person, I've changed over the years from the time when I first knew you versus now, and over the last
We
two,
all
three
know
years.
that thanks to your very transparent posts on social media.
Well, I've been eating a lot of the sort of food which you believe in from a philosophy point of view, and I think that what the pandemic did is that it was a hard stop. In fact, what Chef Manisha Bhasin of the ITC hotel said it made us reboot ourselves. And well, if it's made us more conscious of what we eat, then why not? But I was really excited by what you said, because it sounds so practical, especially when you said about the thing about the brown rice. Like, I consume a lot of red rice and black rice nowadays, but I know that it's not something I can have on a whim. So I have to cook it in advance or keep it in the fridge for the next day and stuff like that. But it sounds like a very exciting book, because it's from the expression on your face when you're talking about it, your passion and commitment to the cause, so to speak, is very apparent. And also, as I know, and as your readers know, and as your new readers will know, you're speaking from your life. So you're speaking from the point of view of the voice of one of us, though you're actually a doctor. But rather than being expert speak, you're actually sharing your learnings, and that's why all those riders as well, which are not necessary, I must say. But I'm very excited. I can't wait till March 1st and order my copy. And I genuinely say this because probably like when this book came in, at that time I was still making the transition. But I think that right now when your book is coming in, it's really the food philosophy which I'm trying to subscribe to. So thank you so much, Nandita. Thank you for your time, and this has been a good week for you. Happy birthday, which happened a few days back, Pongal. So wish you all the best, and all the best for your book as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kalyan. It was just fun as always chatting with you. We would always do this over coffee and breakfast or tea, and we're doing it over Zoom. But here's to meeting again soon, and
Yes.
have a very good 2021 yourself.
Thank you. And with kanji and I think I don't know, you having some tea?
Cheers, with chai. Yes.
Okay, take care, Nandita. Bye.
You.